Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Vanessa and I am an indie author and I publish under the pen name A.N. Sage. I write fantasy, sci-fi, and pretty much anything that's magical and paranormal. And in today's video, we are talking about what I did for the most recent launch of my book. Now, I know we've recently talked about book launches, but I just had a launch this week, actually a couple of days ago. I just launched A Crystal of Doom, and because this was book 7 in one of my series, it was book 7 in the Shadowhurst Mysteries series, I thought it might be important to talk about what I did for the specific launch of this book. Because launching a book when it's not the number one, when you've already had quite a few books out, I find that it's a little bit different than launching the first in a series. So it won't be a very long video. I just thought we could kind of chat about my launch, what I thought about it, how it went, any advice I might have for people launching a book that's not the first book or a starter book, and not a standalone, and just kind of celebrate the launch of Crystal of Doom. Honestly, I can't even believe that I have the 7th book out in this series. If you have read the series, then you know that I started rapid releasing it last year, and then I kind of slowed down a little bit. I always knew I was going to do that. That was always the plan. I knew I couldn't release a book a month for like the entirety of the series, because there are quite a bit of books in it. I also have a novella in it that is free, by the way, if you want to kind of just get into the world. And I have a spin-off series that's planned. So I knew rapid releasing was only going to work for a short amount of time. So I did rapid release the first 4 books. I released them a month in between. A month or a month and a half in between. And then I kind of slowed down the pace for the other ones. The reasons for that, I mean, I probably could have pushed myself to keep releasing fast, but to be honest with you, there was such a big chance of burnout for me. I have obviously other things that I do. I have a cover design business that is very time consuming. I have, a life outside of all of this. And so I was getting a little bit burnt out of writing pretty much every second of the free day that I had. And I wanted some of my free time back. And so I thought, the books would suffer because if I'm burnt out, if I'm tired, if not, I'm not into it, you can be able to tell in the actual story, in the writing. Also, I had time to kind of prep the books ahead of time, the ones that I was rapid releasing, before I released them. And if I continued, I wouldn't have the same amount of time to go over the books. Now, I don't know how much I've talked about this already before about my process, but I have a very intricate process of writing and editing where I can write fairly fast, but editing for me takes a very long time because I do edit sentence by sentence, as I'm sure many authors do. I know authors who don't do that as well, but for me, I need every single sentence to move the story forward, to have a purpose, to be written well. And so it takes a long time to go through that especially when you have very long books. Most of my books are somewhere between 70,000 and 120,000 words. And so it takes time to go through every word and sentence, make sure it's okay. Then there's betas, then there's more editors involved. And so it's just a very time consuming process. And so rapid releasing was not going to work. Now, between books 6 and 7, I had the longest time in between because, as I mentioned before, the cover design business, Cauldron Press Cover Designs, took off quite a bit. If you're wondering why I'm extra done up today, I'm what is this? And there's plants. It's because I was filming a cover design course. It's one of the things I'm launching next year, very early next year. We're looking at February launch for that. And so I was filming some of that today. So I feel weird wearing so much more makeup. I usually don't do that, but ta-da, this is me all cleaned up. So yeah, if you're an author that wants to kind of try cover design, I will have a course for that coming out next year. So I'll keep you guys posted. So Wow, what a long turnabout. So anyways, I had, because of cover design and how much time that was taking, all this other stuff that I had to do for that part of my entrepreneurship business plan, I had a bit more time in between books 6 and 7. And it's not because I needed the extra time for the actual writing and all that. That takes me the same amount of time every time. And just all this other stuff got in the way. And so usually, when I do a launch of a later book in a series, it's fairly soft. I will kind of go on social media and I will tell my newsletter people about it. The readers that follow me there, I'll tell my ARC readers if they want to spread the word, stuff like that. Because I find for the most part, like my marketing efforts tend to go towards book 1 of that series to get people into the world, right? And once they're into the world, my read-throughs are very good. And so once they start reading, they usually finish the whole series, right? And they wait for the next one. So there's very little marketing I actually have to do to the people that are already in the world. Now, I'm not going to market book 7 to somebody who hasn't read book 1, right? And it's a moot point. It's throwing away money and effort and time that you shouldn't throw away. But there are a couple of things, because I had a bit more time in between books and I kind of need to refresh even the people who have read the series before. So I have little notes for myself on the phone here. But I have a couple of things that I did with this book that I didn't do with some of the other next in series. And I thought I want to discuss it because if you have a series that's kind of starting to slow down, I am in KU and I've noticed that my page reads have started to go down a little bit. And so when you have something like that happen, you might want to boost, and a boost not just for the next book in the series, but for the overall series and maybe for book number 1. So here's what I did. First, I put Witch of Shadows, which is book 1 in that series, for free for the week of the launch. I already have a novella, which I mentioned before, that's free, but the novella is a standalone and it happens before this world starts. And so it's kind of just to get people to know the world and to get to know my writing and me as an author, as opposed to the book 1 that has cliffhangers and leads into it. And so I put Witch of Shadows, book 1, for free for the 5 days, because you can do that if you're a KU member. If you're not a KU member and you're wide, if you put it on for free and other places, you can get Amazon to price match, but you want to make sure to do it ahead of time because sometimes it takes them a bit of time sometimes they're fast. I've had price matches done within 4 hours once, but other times it took a few days. Once it took a week, if not more. So just keep that in mind, right? Then what I did was I booked newsletter promo. So I booked the Fussy Librarian for the I only booked it for Witch of Shadows for the first in the series because it was free. I booked Free Booksy for the first in the series for Witch of Shadows. Plus I added more of a series promotion as well. So in Free Booksy, you can have a book, but you can also pay per book for a series. And so I paid to promote not just Witch of Shadows, but to promote the full series, each other book, including book 7, which was the one that was actually released, right? And the way that looks on the Free Booksy newsletter is you'll have all the series kind of stacked, and they'll tell you first one is free, but the whole series, this many books, blah, 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 whatever. They'll have a little blurb about it. And then I also booked e-reader news today only for Witch of Shadows. The other thing that I did was, as far as paid promotion goes, is I promoted Witch of Shadows on Facebook ads and Amazon ads for a whole month prior to the release. And I still have the ads going right now. Book 7 just released on Tuesday. And so I'm going to have the ads going up until the end of next week, just to kind of get that tailspin of them. And so I had those ads going as well. And these were very, so Amazon, I did auto ads, and they went pretty well, which I know I said I was going to test out when I talked about advertising in the video. I'll link it somewhere up here. And it went really well. So I really like the other ads right now. They seem to be working if you're trying Amazon ads. And then for Facebook, I just did a general, like kind of wide urban fantasy, and I narrowed it down to Kindle and Amazon readers because I am in KU with this. I had good click costs for this one, which is surprising because we are going into the holiday season and usually clicks tend to go up. So that worked out well for that month. So the other thing I did, which was more of like the free promotion, and that was all social media stuff. So first I did newsletter promos, and I did my newsletter promos. I built up to them. So I started my newsletter promos for this about 4 months ago. And I mentioned that book 7 is coming 4 months ago, and kind of in every newsletter that I sent out like a hint. Oh, by the way, there's also this book, like the first book, if you haven't read it, there's this free novella, and kind of like dropped hints throughout. So I did those promos, and then I did one, obviously a newsletter, the day that the book was released. I did ARC team promos. So again, I started those early so they knew to expect that the book is coming because we had such a big break. They might have forgotten, like hopefully they didn't, luckily, about me, but you want to make sure that they know there's another book coming so they're ready. So those were built up gradually and kind of dripped in as well. Then I had a kind of big celebration in my Facebook group. If you have a Facebook group, so I don't have a very large Facebook group, but it's active and I do get sales through it. So if you have a chance to start a Facebook group, like I recommend starting it early, and really like promote it, put links to it at the back of your books and try to promote it in your newsletter and such. And so I had a big Facebook group celebration, which I mentioned in my newsletter, and I had more people join that way. And I did games, just like one of those like this or that, or like quizzes and stuff like that. And I had a post in the group every single hour. Intermittently, I was advertising that book 7 is out, that Witch of Shadows book 1 is free, that there's also a novella, and I kind of mixed those in between the games. And then I also had a giveaway where I gave away a $20 Amazon gift card to one person in the group, one lucky reader who joined us in the community, which was a nice little kind of fun way to give back, but also it was incentive for people to stick around for the whole day and kind of celebrate. Then the other thing, and I guess more of like the last thing I did was I did a TikTok video. So I just kind of want to quickly talk about TikTok a little bit. When TikTok first started, I was super gung-ho about it, like very into it. And it went okay. It was pretty good because when you start out, TikTok really pushes you in the algorithm, right? And now I'm finding, and I don't know if it's like because of the algorithm that I'm in, but I am a YA author, right? And I keep getting pushed to book talkers or people who are interested in books who like more like spicy books. I don't write spicy books. That would be weird if I wrote spicy books for teenagers. So I don't mix in with well with that. And so it became harder and harder for me to use TikTok as an advertising platform. And so on TikTok, I only did like an ad for book 7 the day before. And I was going to do something day off. I got busy. And to be honest, like I didn't see any traffic from TikTok, and I haven't seen traffic from TikTok in a while. So just so you guys know, I'm probably not posting enough, but I just didn't have I always calculate the return on investment when it comes to my time in social media. And I've mentioned this before, you don't have to be everywhere, right? And so for me, when I started TikTok, well, it was great. And I was like quickly building a following. It wasn't translating to sales, to reads, to people joining my Facebook group or my newsletter or any of that, right? So I wasn't getting not a monetary and not a kind of beneficial exchange of any sort. And so I started posting less and less and less. And I'm still posting because I do still, I still watch the platform. You know, there's cute cats on it, but I don't use it as much for advertising. And as that's on me, that's my personal choice. It doesn't mean it's the same for everybody. I'm sure there's like lots of YA authors that I'm not seeing because of where I ended up in the algorithm that are doing well. And so I'm going to keep working on it. But for this time around, I did not really utilize TikTok as much, but I did use Facebook a lot. I had some Instagram posts. Again, Instagram, the direction it's taking now, questionable for me. I don't see it as being very useful anymore. Right now for me, my newsletter and my Facebook are the two, or my Facebook. I own Facebook. I just paid my Facebook group, and my author Facebook page and my personal Facebook page. Like anything to do with Facebook is what I'm saying. And my newsletter. Those are the two main ways in which I can promote for free. Obviously ads are always working, but those are the two social media free promotion tools that I can use. And I found that they are very useful. So anyways, with all of that said, how did the launch go? It went very well. As expected, usually what I see is, for me, the KU reads always win out because these are people that have been reading the world for a while. And so my KU reads really spiked, and they spiked for all the books. Then I had more purchases heavily towards the beginning of the series and the beginning books of the series. And that is always the case where people will buy the first couple of books to see and try them out. And then they'll slowly buy the other ones. And so I already know from experience, I'm going to see kind of the tailspin effect of that come in over the month. Witch of Shadows, which was free, that boosted it quite a bit. I got thousands of downloads, which is great for reviews, right? And just getting people into the world. They might not read it right away. Like we all download free books and then they just kind of sit there, but it's still there. There's still kind of a chance that they'll get into the world, which is great. And the last time that I did this kind of promotion, I got so many reviews. They were all really good. And so it really helped the series. And it also made Witch of Shadows number one in a whole bunch of categories, which is also amazing. So, and all said, I'm happy with this launch. Considering that it's book 7, it went really well. I find usually when I launch book 1, I do like a lot for it. And I'm going to be launching a standalone next year. So I'm going to kind of walk you guys through. I'll do like a few videos of how I'm prepping for that, what I have planned, because I have quite a bit planned and I have quite a budget set aside for it because I really want it to be a big launch, and kind of how I'm handling it. So that's going to be a fun little experience too. But for later books in a series, like I said, I don't put in that much effort into it because I already know that the people who are reading it are going to read it, and there's no point advertising that next book to people who haven't read the first one. And so it's always give and take, but this time it was good. I really, really liked it. And I just wanted to say thank you for everybody who went out, who supported, who got the books, or like all the books, or just the one book, or even tried out Witch of Shadows for free, which by the way, it's still free for one more day. So tomorrow is the last day that's free if you want to check it out and download it. So just thank you to everybody. And I hope that if you're looking to launch consecutive books in a series, that this was useful to kind of just see. It was almost like a behind the scenes of how it went for me. And anybody who joined me in the Facebook group or anywhere on social media to celebrate on Tuesday, thank you so much. Shadowhurst is a crazy world and it gets crazier every single time. So I am very excited to keep going with this series. We are coming to an end. There's only one book left. So that's going to be bittersweet, but it's been an amazing ride so far. And I can't wait to write that last book because it's going to be like a big bam. So thank you to everyone again. And thank you for watching. Thank you for coming here, for subscribing if you have subscribed. If you haven't, I truly appreciate it if you did. If you enjoy videos about the author journey, what it means to be an indie author, if you want to hear me talk about my experience, some of the mistakes that I made when I started, and just kind of follow me on my journey as an author and trying to make it out there in this world of books and writing, then please consider subscribing. And with that said, I hope you all stay magical and I will talk to you next week. Bye.